Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by OrthoCarolina. Now offering video visits, so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at OrthoCarolina.com. OrthoCarolina, you improve.
Hey, fellows, it's the first snap of 11 of the season.
Nerd.
Lord have mercy. Hey.
I am a super nerd.
Oh, my glasses are broken.
I am a super nerd.
My pocket is infected.
I am a super nerd.
Excelsior.
Nerd?
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Starring Andy.
My name is Andy, and I am a super
I'm a former entertainment journalist.
TBJ.
Hi, this is Tiffany. You may hear me be referred to as TBJ.
TBJ, y'all.
I am what I like to call a surprise nerd.
Artstar.
My name is Artstar.
AKA Artstar.
He's the nerd Gotham City deserves.
And yours truly, call me Joe. Well, that said, should we jump into WandaVision episode 8?
Ready. I am ready.
Are you ready?
Episode 8.
I am ready. Only because something I said on first episode of WandaVision was right. So I am ready.
Okay, yeah. So you are more ready than everybody, and and there was a big one that Andy and I both were wrong. Andy was wrong, big wrong, and I was big wrong. But you were also all big right on a lot of stuff. You guys have been talking about Agatha Harkness for a while. Now we already talked about that. That was the reveal that she was there, but I'm still amazed at how you guys all saw that coming a mile away.
Oh, you know what I just realized?
Yeah.
The name Agnes is the beginning of Agatha and the end of Harkness put together.
Oh.
You got an art moment.
You got an Artstar moment. That's your art moment.
Yeah, I did.
WandaVision moment.
Welcome to the club.
Yes.
Welcome to the club.
And welcome to this episode. This is, I think I actually know what episode. This is episode 20. This is episode 20.
I was going to say insert number.
I think,
here.
yeah. If I figure it out, or yeah. So yeah, we're here and we're talking about WandaVision episode, the second to last episode. Is that right, everybody?
8.
And ultimate.
9 episodes.
Ocho.
Yep.
Episode Ocho.
So this is Ocho. So
Yeah.
this is the big one. We were one of the big ones. This was a huge one, I think. I feel like this one explained so much of all the questions we've had.
It's the big exposition dump that they moved it to the end instead of the beginning, so we didn't know what was going on for 7 episodes, and now, boom.
And for all the time nerds, this is probably one of the longest episodes. So
for all those time nerds out there.
Yeah,
but,
they had to fit it. They had to fit it all in.
I thought it was only 30 minutes of this one. This was a short one, right?
No, it wasn't
a
short.
little longer. It was a smidge longer.
I swear I looked and I was like, how is this one only this long? In fact, I was going to ask you.
Credits are usually long, but it was like, I think the runtime was like 43 minutes.
Was it?
Right, but there's like at least 7 minutes of just international credits on each episode too. So the runtime is always a little misleading.
I just want to say, on the first day we started recording about WandaVision, and we were trying to figure out what was up with the old TV shows. And Tiffany said, I bet it has something to do with her childhood. And it took her back to a happy place. Yeah. I just want to point that out. I said a lot of wrong things. I was wrong about the people.
When Mama Wanda, I'm going to call her Mama Wanda. When she opened up
Mama Wanda.
When she opened up the little briefcase, suitcase, and I seen all those desks and that, I was like, yeah.
That was a neat, that was a neat moment.
Tiff was right.
Tiff was right, and you were saying,
when
from the
I'm
beginning.
Wrong, but I was wrong with all the townspeople were just regular townspeople.
Right.
However, I was hella right that those TV shows were going to have something to do with her happy place in her childhood.
Yeah.
And so the whole time I was watching that scene, I was yelling at my child, like, it feels good to be right.
Yeah, and you can prove it.
Please calm down.
You can prove it. Put on Apple Podcasts. I can prove it. Put on Apple Podcasts episode, whatever it was.
Feels good to be right.
Yes, you were so right. And Andy was guessing it was Agatha doing that.
That was last. Like I was
last episode.
I thought it was. It was a thing that was never established, or we never got any hint that Wanda was really big on old sitcoms. I guess.
Yeah.
But so that was introduced here. So I was like, I didn't know if it made sense, but it makes sense now.
I felt really old. Did that make you feel old that she's going back to her childhood and here's a bunch of DVDs? I was like, you had DVDs in your childhood? Like, DVDs to me are still a new invention. Like, I'm still like, DVDs are obsolete. What do you mean?
No, they were not in my childhood. DVDs came out later. Yeah. You're right. I didn't even think about that when they were showing it. I
didn't have VHS at that age. Like, mine would have been a cassette recorder, like of the TV.
Joe would record his favorite shows on audio cassette, like on a boombox off the television, so he could listen to them later.
My mom did
I would do that with music.
Oh yeah, that was smart. The music,
We never had. My parents refused to pay for the Disney Channel when we were younger. Yeah. And you know how they used to have those like weekend previews.
Yeah.
So then we would pop in a VHS tape and record the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So I can always go back and watch whatever played on the Disney Channel later.
Yeah, Kids Incorporated was like the best thing.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what I was watching. Kids Incorporated, Mickey Mouse Club.
Kids
and all the cartoons that came.
Yeah, we did too. We watched that too. We knew it was stupid. I feel like with Kids Incorporated, like we knew it was stupid, but it was like something we couldn't get. Just like you said, we didn't have Disney Channel either, but it was like, we can't get this, so let's watch it all weekend, even if we hate what's on there. Like, I don't know.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Plus Martika, we had a crush on Martika.
Obsessed.
It was catchy
with Disney.
Yeah. Anyway.
As much as I'm obsessed with anything. So,
but yeah, so TBJ was right. She was escaping her awful childhood with that, and then I wanted to ask you guys too. Like, I watched all those scenes about her childhood and her parents, and that was not. None of those people were Magneto or had anything to do with Magneto, right?
Not that I'm aware of. That I should have looked up Wanda's. Wanda's. She did have Maximoffs that raised her. I don't know if those were the names of them in the comics. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, because even if it isn't Magneto, it's still Magneto gave them away anyway, right? So it could still be a Magneto.
Or Magneto was not aware that he had children and had these twins at all until much later.
Right. But even more so, are you guys disappointed that we found out that, at least I think we found out, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I took it that we now know that Quicksilver is not even Quicksilver and has nothing to do with the X-Men. It's just like a funny thing they did.
Well,
right?
I just watched something not too long ago, and it was saying that even though, like, Agnes, she had a big part of certain things in this episode. I mean, in the whole anomaly thing, whatever. But like, she mentions that her brother being on another continent full of hoes, and how she's a construct of his or whatever. But then it's like some of his essence has to come from somewhere, and it's like, well, if it's not supposedly that X-Men's Quicksilver, it still might be him. We just don't know. Like, because I mean, like, we didn't even like he wasn't in this episode, other than the mention of it. So it's like that they're constantly throwing us like curveballs. Like, she hasn't really said exactly what he is. It's almost like if you have like let's say witches, for example. Witches, from my understanding, it's almost like how you have like black magic and voodoo. You have to have some sort of essence of someone to create a quote unquote homunculus or whatever. If you want to do the whole alchemy kind of thing.
Homunculus.
Like, sort of like how
quality word. Homunculus.
Is that going to be on the exam? What is it? Homunculus?
Yes. Write it down.
How do you spell that?
This is like it's kind of like an animated construct that you can magically animate and do stuff.
What's?
But then also it usually has somebody's essence that animates them. So,
wait,
but even
what?
Like
what the hell?
She takes Wanda. Listen. It's not necessarily important. But listen, even how like when she takes Wanda on her little trip, she takes a piece of her hair.
Yeah.
So she can do this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So while we think it may not be Peter, like it's
there's a piece of him in there somewhere. Is what you're saying,
right?
Oh,
yeah,
so you're. I see. I see what you're saying. When you said the hair, that made sense to me. Can you say that word one more time?
Homunculus.
Spell it.
Homunculus.
Homunculus.
Can somebody spell that? I don't get what you're saying.
Lord have mercy.
All right, now I gotta look it up to spell it.
Homunculus or homunculus or humunculus?
Not a whore.
Yeah.
HOMUNCULUS.
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 And that's a word like human beings know?
I'm sure not all human beings know. If you walk out in the street tomorrow and was like, yo, what about that homunculus? No one's going to be like, word.
Well, technically,
what you did, Joe.
Artstar, the definition.
Super genius.
The definition is a very small human or humanoid creature. Or a representation of a small human being.
I don't know what you said. I'm going to have to listen back when I'm editing because I don't know what you're talking about. Like you said that big word. And I was like, I am an idiot. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay.
If you read enough comic books about magic people.
It's not a prime.
Okay, you'll be used to that word if you read a lot of comic books. Is that what that is? Yeah, so I have questions now.
That or you're in the anime.
Oh, in anime.
Yeah, it's like a not real human being that's given human characteristics.
Homunculus. Homunculus. Use it in a sentence. Homunculus. Okay, I'm gonna try to do that. So I did think about this. I was editing one of the podcasts and I was asking you guys, "Oh my gosh, is that gonna be on the exam?" I think you guys should. The last episode of every phase we do, you guys should give me an exam, like an oral exam. You guys come up with the questions. I'll answer them and see what I've learned over the podcast.
Lord.
That might be fun.
I'm worried for you and your grades already.
I don't know. Yeah.
You've already proven your ability to retain information.
But I am learning something. Like sometimes I'm learning some things. Like I'm telling you,
you are.
Like I'll tell my kids stuff and they'll be like, "How do you know that?" Nerd School podcast, baby.
But it could also be. You could also be one of those people who like. I mean, I'm really good at taking tests. Like I can cram. Like I can not study for something, and then the day before cram everything in, and sit there at the test like boom, got it. You could be one of those people that like you might forget certain things, but you put a test in front of you, like you start asking questions like, "Oh, I know this. I know this.
Yes,
I know
I
this.
could be that
this.
person."
And it just starts coming out.
Well, some of the things you said, like so back to the DVDs or whatever, like I like that now you mention it, like they use that also to kind of, I think, to explain the accent thing. That we talked about that accent comes and goes, doesn't it? It comes and goes, and that they were watching those shows not only to escape but to learn English. Like he had a suitcase full of those, and was like, "We're all going to work on our accents, and we'll all work on this." And
well, they say if you want to learn a new language, one of the best ways to do it is to watch something that you know.
Yeah.
And the language.
That's how a lot of people learned English.
That's what they say.
It is TV shows.
A lot of immigrants do that. They listen to TV shows and they learn the slang through that. I think because you don't learn slang. Yeah, that was interesting to me. But then, Art, when you brought up or something else you brought up that I had a bunch of questions. So they showed Harkness with her. You know, how she became who she is. That was a cool kind of origin story.
My God.
That was really
cool. Can we just talk about that was her own damn mama? Can we just for 1 second talk about it was her mama? Like I'm into the scene watching it and then she goes, "Mama?" And I'm like, oh no. It's her own mom. And then I'm like, oh, it's okay because her mom's not shooting any power at her. But then her mom does it, and I'm like, but it's her mama.
Yeah,
I'm very sensitive to family relationships when they're trying to kill each other, apparently. But holy.
But that don't you think that does two things? Like that shows you why she's so damn powerful and why she's evil, because her mom, like your mother, is turning on you. You're evil, you know, like.
Yeah,
I think
but
she was
we don't know anything about her mother. We don't know what their coven is up to. Like they said, she's into the darkest of magics, and she goes, "Please, I can be good," and her mama's like, "No, you can't," and tries to kill her. And so I guess. Which plays into, like, Agatha Harkness is not really that much of a villain in the comic books.
Right.
So, what has happened to her between 1633 or whatever that is and now?
Yeah.
What is she after? What is she? Is she after her power? Is she trying to?
Well, it looks like she's trying to figure out. She's trying to figure out how Scarlet, like, she's amazed that Scarlet Witch is able to control a whole town. Right? Isn't that what it is? She's trying to figure out, how did you do this? And she wants that power. She probably is just like, this is something. I thought I'm the badass. Nobody's allowed to do something I can't do. How did you do it? Right?
This is what I got out of this. So this is what I got out of it. One, how evil do we actually think she is?
She might not be.
You know what I'm saying? Like she could be, have a lot of anti-hero vibes. You know, like I feel like this little walkabout she's taking Wanda on. She's helping Wanda learn who she actually is. Like these are things that Wanda has suppressed, and she's awakening her. Then also on the same token, and Marvel does this a lot. You have like these characters who, Thanos, for example. Thanos was always about trying to, like, even though he was quote unquote evil, he's trying to like level the playing field, so to speak, he says. So he, kill off this many to save that many kind of thing. So it's like, she's going around, like, even when she's sitting and tells her that, she pretty much tells Wanda she's too powerful. So, like, sure, she probably wants that power, but then also she feels as though, like, only one person should be this powerful, and that person should kind of be like me,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's.
So I didn't take her.
Go ahead,
Andy.
Okay.
I was gonna say I didn't take her as a complete villain yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think because she says it herself. I came in here because I had to see what was going on. Like, I had to figure out what was happening, so I had to be a part of this thing. And she does say, "I tried to gently nudge you."
Yeah.
To wake up, like, into reality a lot sooner. So I feel like her getting to this point was kind of like the last straw. Like, fool, listen, you are literally wasting away in this world that you created instead of like living with what you have, which is hella powerful. So I don't even think we're at the part where it's like, I don't know if she wants it necessarily, but I think she's trying to figure it out because, and she says it, I've studied and studied and studied, and just here you are, who can do this crap I can't do.
Without even knowing. You don't know the fundamentals. You don't know how any of this works.
Yeah.
But you're doing it anyway.
But here,
so that's
all this brings up, then I'm confused now, even though I thought I understood, and then now that we're talking about this, I'm confused again. So we see in episode 7, it was all, this was me. I'm doing all this. It's all Agnes, and then now we're seeing
not the whole town.
Not the whole town. So
she was saying she was screwing up stuff to make Wanda wake up, and if you play back all the things she had a hand in, it was just to throw Wanda off her game. She was just trying to get Wanda to admit she could. So think back to the dog thing. Even when she's like, "I killed Sparky too." Remember, the kids are like, "Wake up the dog," and Agnes is like, "You can do that? Can you do that?"
Yeah.
Like, she was just really trying to, she was only muddling. She didn't do the whole thing. She was muddling as her way to be like, fix it with your magic, or come to life and realize what's going on, Wanda.
And if you think of the theme songs as being like Wanda's subconscious or Wanda's kind of opinion of what's going on, who's been messing up everything? It's been Agatha all along. Agatha's been messing with her illusion. We thought it was Agatha's created the illusion after the last episode.
Yeah.
But here we see, oh no, she's been trying to nudge her out of this illusion, and Wanda's trying to keep it intact and keep it together.
Oh, okay.
She's insidious, So perfidious.
In some way, she's being her comic booky self and trying to not necessarily be a mentor, but like just trying to get her to realize exactly just how powerful she is.
So,
but at the end,
true self.
She's saying, "You don't know how dangerous you are." So maybe when she realizes whatever the title, the Scarlet Witch, we finally get her actual comic book name into the MCU.
That never happened. I was going to ask you, that never happened before? Because that seemed like a moment, but I didn't know why. She was never called that.
She's witchy. She has red powers, but now she's been dubbed the Scarlet Witch, and whatever that means in witchy lore, we're going to find out in the next episode, I imagine.
Here's another thing that I like just from watch. I watched this episode a couple of times, and it's like, episode 7 is when we supposedly see, we see Monica Rambeau turn. So it's like, you see her DNA being rewritten.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess mutated, so to speak. And it's like they kind of sort of retcon Wanda. Like, they made so it's like she's always had these powers, and it wasn't because of being experimented on. Everything was just amplifying her. It's almost like, are they trying to tell us that Wanda is a mutant, or is a witch and a mutant two separate entities?
That could be too. So, like she has a mutant power and magic power, and somehow they're combining. And one of the other things, like when she's in the Hydra camp and she's exposed to the Infinity Stone, that's the Mind Stone that Hydra had, Baron Strucker had, and that Mind Stone sort of opened her up to, and you see the silhouette of her kind of comic booky persona, which nerds are going apeshit about. But the Mind Stone is the same thing that's in Vision's head. So if the Mind Stone activated her powers or was in Vision's head before, Thanos plucked it out.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's why she could feel him. That's why she had a special connection with him.
Right.
And that's why she could pull himself out of her own soul. Like her own soulmate, she could regenerate out of that.
Yeah,
which is explains why he is who he is, but he doesn't remember anything. Yeah, but he's still who he is.
Was not him. Yeah, I was gonna say, because when we were watching the scene where they go back to the Avengers compound, and she can feel him before he walks in the door, and then we allude to it, like you said, when she goes to visit. First of all, also, I told you old dude was trash because he lied about her breaking in. He lied about that video. He lied about the whole daggone thing.
Jimmy Woo knew.
Dude is trash. He is trash.
Wait.
He is trash.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Director Hayward. The guy
that
sword,
guy
he is trash.
Because if you remember, he released that video like, oh, she broke in.
Yeah.
She did these things and she stole his body. But really...
I think we discussed how the video could have been doctored.
Yep.
And I think when we were talking about that, so...
He edited.
He always seemed suspect.
But,
he is.
And the other thing to with this guy, this plays into the post credits bumper there, where we see no, he actually still has the vision, and they finally they've brought him back, but he's like a complete sort of bluish white thing.
Now this
is definitely a comic book reference.
That's what I was going to ask you. This white vision is something else, right? This is in comics.
What happened in the comics back in like the 70s and 80s was like Vision, like in the comics, he didn't have the Mind Stone. That was like some other thing that was called the Control Crystal or something. He could like shoot lasers out of it, and it collected sunlight or whatever.
But it didn't have anything to do with Scarlet Witch as it does now.
No, it didn't. It was like, Ultron built him, and he had the brain waves of a different character we've never seen yet, Wonder Man, Simon Williams, who is like one of the... He's kind of a lame character, but Wonder Man,
none of that Wonder Man stuff is in this right now, right?
No, we haven't met Wonder Man yet.
But doesn't he have something to do with this white vision? I thought I read something about.
Yeah, what happened was like Vision, like something broke in his control crystal or something. He started getting a little bit more megalomaniacal but he was trying to eventually got to
megalomaniacal.
MEGALO M-A-N-I-A.
Sorry, you don't have yeah.
You didn't
I couldn't spell homunculus, but I could spell
you didn't even write it down for notes.
Megalomaniacal.
Yeah, or like basically like he got overly aggressive in his ideas of how he can create a world free of human strife, which somehow involved taking over a lot of like the whole world's computer networks.
Okay.
He was like slowly like doing that, trying to take over everything, and then the Avengers finally realized what he was doing, pulled him back from just like complete world domination. Like, that's not how you're going to do this. This isn't how things work.
Yeah.
So he eventually like realized that he was malfunctioning and kind of took that out and was able to, and then kind of retired from the Avengers and moved with Wanda to New Jersey.
Oh, that happened in the comics?
Yeah, it was a town called Leonia. It wasn't called Westview.
But
I think it's a fictional town. Either way, it probably is. So they lived suburban, like they just retired and like, all right, we're going to stop being Avengers. We're going to go have a life. We have these kids. But then here's where I think we might get the big bad that we've been hinted at already. I was just doing the research on this. What happened then was like rogue government agents who were still mad that Vision tried to take over everything, abducted him and dismantled him. Like basically said, all right, you're boom. So we've got some rogue government agents here.
They've dismantled him.
The person manipulating those rogue government agents to do that was a character named Immortus, who is like a master of time kind of thing. He's basically an older version of Kang the Conqueror, who we've already seen is cast, and he's going to be in like the Ant-Man 3.
Yeah.
Which just seems like a weird place for him to show up, but at the same time, if they mastered time travel by going into the microverse, that's exactly where Kang should be, because he's all about time travel.
That's kind of why I referenced it, I think, on the last episode.
Yeah, you did mention Kang.
You mentioned Kang, and I was going to ask you questions about Kang, but we got so far out of it that I just dropped it. But
the multiverse, Joe, like right now, I think is a bit much.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
it is.
Things where, like, we have to ease.
Yeah, my mind is so blown right now.
Once we get to Loki, maybe you'll be ready.
Yeah, Loki is supposed to.
But like right now,
the Loki series is going to set up and establish like what the multiverse is for people.
When is that? When's that happen? Fall?
That's right after Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, then it's Loki?
Yeah.
So you mentioned, so far I've heard you guys mention there's an Ant-Man 3 or Ant-Man 2 or whatever, Ant-Man. There's a Doctor Strange movie coming. There's a Black Widow. Is there a list somewhere of all the movies already announced?
Yeah. Disney did a big thing.
I saw the TV show announcements.
I think we talked like a day or two after because we were hype about things that were coming. I feel like I spoke to you guys about this.
How many movies is it? Is it like 45 or is it like 10 or is it like, do you know them all? You know off the top of your head? Can Art right now rattle off the movies that are planned?
No, I don't know them all. I just know what I'm excited. Like, I like Disney beyond Marvel, obviously. So, like, Princess Tiana is getting her own series. Like, hell yeah. If y'all see me in Princess Tiana outfits for a solid month, please know it's in preparation for her series coming out. Like, just know she is my princess.
Yes.
And I've been waiting. But they did a whole reveal. Like, they had a media day where they talked about all the movies coming, all the series coming.
And, like, they plan about, like, 4 or 5 years in advance. Or maybe even longer than that. Because I remember.
Just what I named off the top of my head. That's a bunch. That's 5 or something.
I mean, they've been working.
There's a Spider-Man. There's a Black Panther 2. There's Doctor Strange 2. There's Ant-Man 3. There's the Eternals, which is probably almost done.
Another Black Panther.
It was supposed to come out like late last year, but everything got pushed back.
The Agents of Atlas.
No, Shang-Chi, which may introduce Agents of Atlas if I'm lucky, and then we get a talking gorilla.
Shang-Chi is supposed to come out in July.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I think July.
I was going to ask you,
we haven't seen
what's the next
anything
movie
from Shang-Chi yet.
Yeah, they just revealed Shang-Chi's.
Black Widow.
They just revealed Shang-Chi's costume. Did you see that article?
Yeah,
but we haven't seen any footage from it.
Oh, okay. So Black Widow's first, and when's that?
May, I want to say.
May.
It was supposed to be the end of.
Because she was already supposed to have been out.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be last year.
Yeah.
But they got pushed back because of disease.
I think she might be one of my favorites. Like, I love her. Like
cool.
when I was editing that episode of Iron Man 2 and we talked about when she and Happy go in that thing and Happy's like, I got him. You know,
Don't worry, I got him. She's like,
I forgot how great that was, so we were talking about that again. But anyway, I can't wait for that. Anyway, sorry, we got way off. I have another question. Were you in the middle of a point, Andy? When I interrupt,
you were asking about Kang. Do you want to really get into time travel? Because how Kang messes everything up. Kang is a huge deal. Yeah. He likes to go to like to time travel back to certain times and try to conquer things, and conquer other timelines. He's time traveled so much.
I know we had an action figure of Kang, and I thought he was cool because his name was Kang. I love that name, and he had that green face and a purple body or whatever.
A cool thing Marvel does too is they're like across platforms. When they bring up somebody, they make them prevalent everywhere. So like how we mentioned Kang as an Ant-Man and Wasp. Andy's thinking about how maybe the big bad could be Kang. Kang is really big right now in their yearly miniseries that's going on. So it's like they'll talk about a character, they'll bring them out, and then like everywhere you go, they'll sprinkle bits and pieces of them all around, like movies, TV, books, and everything. So, but then it's almost like, well, this could be, this can't be, because he's out there now. So maybe this is a way to introduce him to mainstream, and it's one of those things like it's a extreme excitement of the wait and see, just to see what the big reveal is. But then it's also like it gives nerds so much to talk about.
Yep.
I mean, there are like 4 or 5 different baddies that it possibly could.
I would guess. I would guess you. I mean, you guys would guess probably too that most people, like most general people, like the general buying public, there's the nerds, there's the expert, whatever. Most people don't know what Kang is, right? They've never heard of Kang.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: Kang. Most people don't know what Kang is, but like once people find out, especially in the people of color community, once they find out who's playing Kang, like Ant-Man, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania might be a really big movie just because of the villain.
Who is it? Who's playing him?
So
is it?
I forgot the dude's name, but he's the guy from I don't know if you've seen Lovecraft on HBO.
No.
But he's been on Lovecraft and a couple other things.
Is that a good show? Is that the one that's supposed to be? Everybody says they don't.
I think his name is Jonathan Majors or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
But he's a big deal, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. Just the fact that he's black. He's a black guy.
Yeah, we show up. It's Jonathan Majors. You're right. We as a people, when we see ourselves represented, we show up.
Because you're never represented.
Because Hollywood has said that we don't sell movies, so when we're on screen, we show up. So we prove
it. Also, I kind of feel like I think there are a couple of, I don't know if it's on a Avengers cartoon or whatever, when he showed up. I think when he did have him like kind of like unmasked, I won't sit there and say whether or not he was black, but like maybe the voice actor was a black guy. So I think that's kind of probably why it kind of like
have to remember.
Tied into it.
Oh, Jonathan Majors, I know this guy.
But also, 2 things I want to mention.
Yeah.
If I can remember what they are. One thing is, the other thing about Kang is like his identity has always been kind of vague, but at least there's like one version of Kang that is Nathaniel Richards, the father of Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. So if they go that way, they're like doubling down on Michael B. Jordan as the Human Torch. That made everybody all mad. If they actually go to this lineage, like the entire Fantastic Four could be black, and that would be very interesting.
Isn't Reed Richards and isn't he married to one of them, or brother and sister with one of them? Like, isn't the Flame guy?
Reed Richards is married to the Invisible Woman, who is the sister of the Human Torch. But in the Michael B. Jordan,
I gotta remember this. Movie, wait.
It's the Marvel's first family.
Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, is married to the Invisible Woman, who is the sister of the
Human Torch.
And then is there another one? The Thing?
The Thing.
And
Benjamin J. Grimm. He's just Reed Richards' best friend from college.
Okay. So, but he's not related. But it doesn't matter.
Not officially related, but they consider themselves family. They call them Marvel's first family. Is the Fantastic Four.
Are you suggesting that Michael B. Jordan?
How they're different.
Did you say Michael B. Jordan might play Mr. Fantastic this time? Is that what you said?
No.
I missed that.
I'm saying Michael B. Jordan played the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four movie that bombed.
That's not in the MCU.
Because a lot of racist nerds were all upset about, how can you make the Human Torch
right, black? Yes, we talked about that. Yeah. That's right.
Right. So if Jonathan Majors is playing Kang, and they decide to make Kang Reed Richards' father, which they don't have to do, because Kang can be his own separate thing. Kang can be his whole...
But in the comics, Kang is Mr. Fantastic's father?
I need to do more research. There's so many different Kangs.
He has a lot of aliases, but from what I read, just from a different... not in the main reality, which is 616. I think it's in...
What the hell is 616?
I might feel I think it was 86. 616 is the main Marvel reality.
Main Marvel Comics reality.
In the comics.
This is multiverse stuff. That's why I said I don't know if you're ready for this, Joe. I don't know if you're ready.
I am not ready for this. I'm not.
Let's stick to WandaVision episode.
Yeah, time out.
I think you probably just have a handle on
Spider-Verse. So I got always go, okay, so Kang's not an alien? I thought it was an alien. I don't know why I thought that. Just because action figures. He's got a green face.
That's a mask.
It's a mask.
And he's from the future. He's generally considered to be like a guy from the 30th century or something like that who travels back in time to try to conquer
back and forth.
things.
I see.
He was also had an incarnation as Rama Tut, and he lived in ancient Egypt. He just messes with the time stream.
Okay.
Which is
based on true events. Probably.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. Let me ask you: Did you finish your points, Andy? You had 3 points you wanted to make, and I know we went off.
Yeah, I wanted to drop the Kang thing just to see where they might be going with the Fantastic Four, because all the nerds have seen one good Photoshop of John Krasinski and Emily Blunt as Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. They've all decided they have to
John Krasinski, no.
Yeah. But no, there's been no casting news about that or anything like
so we
that.
don't know.
For some reason, that someone made a really good Photoshop, and all the nerds, so many nerds are just wedded to that.
But the Kang thing is true, right? We know that it's played by that guy.
The Kang casting is true.
And that guy,
they don't have to make Kang related to Reed Richards at all. They don't have to do that. They can do their own thing.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see if they do it and how they do it, or if that means anything for who's going to be cast as the Fantastic Four.
Gotcha.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up might be more something we save for when we talk about we get back into Captain America or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But there's something I hope the Falcon and the Winter Soldier touches on.
Oh yeah, you never got to say that.
Yeah, there is a story. But since we were talking about black representation, this might be a good place to put it up.
Yeah,
there's a storyline that came out in the aughts called it was just called Truth, which was about after the super soldier serum was lost and they couldn't recreate it. So many attempts were made to recreate the super soldier serum. Bruce Banner became the Hulk because of that in the MCU.
Right.
This story was about basically taking the cruel and inhumanity of the Tuskegee experiment, and sort of put the super soldier serum on top of that.
Okay,
which is where they basically just ruthlessly experimented and used black people as guinea pigs to try to figure out how to create super soldiers.
Yeah, I did a whole episode of American Timelines on that. But I mean not that, but the
Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah.
And
so in the comics, this was in the comics you're talking about? They used that.
Yeah, this is a comic thing they sort of revealed in the aughts somewhere, where there was a black Captain America that came after Steve Rogers.
Oh, right.
And the only reason he got to be Captain America in that time is because Like, they basically created the super soldier. This guy's named Isaiah Bradley. They had like a small group of people that survived the experiments, but he was the only one that kept surviving the missions. And on the last, they sent him on suicide missions because they don't care. They're that kind of bastards. So he steals a Captain America costume for his like last mission. He thinks he's going to die on, and then but he comes back. He gets captured in a German war camp. He gets rescued by German freedom fighters, and then he comes back after succeeding in his mission and gets court-martialed for stealing the outfit and gets thrown in prison for like 17 years.
Jeez.
And this is their and kind of wiped. No one knows about him. Captain America doesn't even know about him until much later, until the modern era. But he has a lineage to the point where there's his genetically engineered son named I have his name somewhere. He goes by the name Josiah X for a while. He fights in Vietnam. He gets disillusioned. He's in the Black Panther Party. He converts to Islam after.
And he's when you say genetically engineered, with super serum or just
like the cells of Isaiah Bradley harvested from him while he's in prison. Are
used to create, but they're already super cells. But you mean his super cells from
his super soldier?
So it's a superhero, I guess is my question. Like,
but doesn't want any part of that game. But then Isaiah Bradley also has a grandson who becomes Patriot of the Young Avengers team, which also includes Wanda's two kids, which includes a few more characters that are going to be introduced in the near future.
Oh,
and he eventually gets superpower. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he gets them when he gets a blood transfusion from his grandpa Isaiah Bradley. So he gets Captain America powers too. So that's like, and when the teasers for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier have like said like the I've heard like Anthony Mackie says a line like the legacy behind that shield is complicated. The way they framed it in here is like this is a storyline that black people know a lot about in the MCU, but like white people like Wolverine and nobody knows. It doesn't. The rest of the world doesn't know a lot about these stories, but among black people, Isaiah Bradley is like this legend, this hero, like he's this kind of figure like that.
Wow.
So if they go that route in Falcon and Winter Soldier, which will only have 6 episodes, and that would be a lot of. They've also got Zemo in there, and so they might not even touch on this. But I would like them to if they do it like a season.
But 2. You don't have any kind of sense that they are like you haven't seen like something they accidentally dropped or some insider information.
No. But if they're talking about the legacy of the Captain America shield being complicated, that could speak to that history of illegal experimentation of like that, and I think that would be a really interesting storyline to follow, and some very interesting new characters.
Well, they seem like they're wanting to do more of this kind of thing, like speak to different people. I mean, maybe it's just right now a little bit while it's while people are talking about it, but it seems like maybe they are. I don't know, depending on what this.
Well, the comic book world itself is has always been kind of like trying to get big on inclusion. Like not feeling like. And it's also because it's fiction.
Yeah.
So
it can be anything.
Like anybody can play anybody. It's just there are people out there. Like I guess like even now like they're doing a new a Supergirl, and she's she's Latina. Young girl, but like people are upset about, them having this young Latino girl as Supergirl. So it's like a lot of these. I feel like a lot of these newer books and like even stuff that like Andy said, stuff from history, where it's like they're not really, it's not really big in the universe. It's like now they're able to actually delve back into that. Because there's an audience for that.
Yeah.
People want to see things like that.
Well, and the young Avengers you kind of touched on for a minute. That's Wanda's two kids, and then these other guys.
Patriot, like Isaiah Bradley's grandson, if they do introduce that line, if they're introducing the Young Avengers, which they seem to be from the casting we've already seen, there's a hero named America Chavez that's going to be in something that I can't remember what it is, but I think they've already cast her.
Let me ask you this about
the Hawkeye series coming up has Kate Bishop in it, who is in the Young Avengers.
Okay.
And the thing of the Young Avengers is they kind of rise up when the Avengers are sort of missing for some reason, or they're sort of out of, I can't remember exactly what the context is, but they sort of show up like wanting to do their part and honor the legacy of the Avengers, and they all have some kind of connection. There's a Skrull guy who shapeshifts himself into looking like a young blonde Hulk. His name is Hulkling.
So it is the Young Avengers. Is that a successful comic? Would you say? Like, do people love it?
Yeah, I think so. It's very successful.
Or is it just kind of like a underground comic? Like, is it? It's not like an underground comic that only some people like. It was a popular thing.
Yeah, I think so. It was big for a while. It's got a cult following, I think, of a lot of people because it's somewhat like the strongest gay representation is in the Young Avengers.
Yeah, this would be all that sounds like.
And they're doing binary now.
Yeah, it sounds like that stuff is good, all good for representation and things. Let me ask. Let's back to WandaVision for a second.
Yeah,
I got a question about that, like, because I didn't even realize this till I listened back to our episode about episode 7. Yeah. I didn't even realize until I watched it. I didn't even think about this till I was editing that. I was like, wait a minute, where's Monica? Like, that started, episode 7 ended with Monica and that Quicksilver guy, which Tiffany pointed out has got blue stuff.
I think we just did a.
Is she still outside? Like, is this happening before?
Probably not still outside because the faux Quicksilver confronted her, but I think this episode's entire purpose was to go back. So it is going back, and the only moment that's really right now is her in the street. So I'm willing to bet when we pick up on 8, we'll pick back up into the
from her
now
going into the basement.
So just knowing the stuff that we've seen so far and the stuff we haven't seen, it makes 8 seem like it's going to be probably. And then even just reading some of the comments that the actors have made, it makes it seem like 8 is really going to get.
Well, we just saw 8.
This is 8. 9 is.
I mean 9.
I mean 8. 9. My bad. 9.
But yeah, so
9
well,
is really.
That's what I wanted to ask. Like, because we left off with Monica kind of following them into the basement, and Quicksilver being like, what did he say? Like, Snooper's gonna snoop or whatever. And TBJ pointed out that he had blue stuff on him, like he's being controlled by possibly Agnes. But then, and this whole episode took place inside the basement, and it was entitled previously on, WandaVision. Like, that's the whole title of the episode was. So maybe it was all just the exposition. So maybe that episode, it took forever to delve into all the history, but maybe all that only took like 5 minutes.
That's what I said. We don't know the actual time, right?
Yeah.
Because she comes back in that thing, and we already know how things move. So what would have felt like an hour or 2 days journey to her could have happened in a matter of moments.
Just a couple of moments.
I think Monica's still
but
there.
Then it also could be like just the fact, like just thinking about how at the end we see the kid screaming, and in one moment she's seeing her in the audience, and the next moment she's outside. She's up in the sky with an awesome Magneto-like pose, and like the kids are screaming, and like just like how Joe, like you said, it's like, where's Monica? Where's Peter? It's like it's happening, but are they aware of the things that's happening outside of what's going on with her, like around back?
It could be frozen. Right. Yeah, the whole thing could be frozen in time. She could be like, freeze time. Let's talk.
So it's like we don't know.
Or Agatha's got her in some kind of weird magical thing that she can't, phase through, or she needs to figure out how to phase through it.
Yeah,
and that will be how she starts controlling her powers to be able to turn into whatever kind of energy she needs to be able to get out of the magical barrier and then come out and fight crime. And I guess I'd like to go back to the Halloween episode and just analyze everything Pietro says.
Kick-ass.
Because anytime anytime Wanda tries to like pin him down and get like, what about that guy? Remember that kid? And like he always diverts it like, you're testing me. So this could have nothing to do with Pietro. It's just a fake Pietro. And she even says it's Pietro in this. Right. So this could be just what she has learned about Pietro from research or gleaning things. Like how much, like the one time he tries to offer, remember that the one time we got trick-or-treating and we had those weird costumes and we got the dead fish or whatever, and Wanda's like, that's not how I remember it. But it's all just a part of trying to nudge her out of the illusion, is to try to make that enough dissonance. So I don't think there's any homunculus business going on there. But so either that's just a figment. She just says he's my eyes and ears.
So our nerd,
either that's like,
but she also says to Wanda, "You're so insecure right now that you believed it."
Yeah.
So a lot of this also could just, again, in shaking Wanda up to get it together, could also be a part of that.
Maybe.
Okay.
And is she trying to help Wanda? Is she trying to destroy her? Is she trying to?
Yeah.
Or what
I'm going to predict she's not here to destroy Wanda. This is Tiffany's prediction on record.
Okay.
I don't think she's necessarily trying to destroy.
You heard it here first.
Yes, you heard it here first.
Is she trying to take her power, or is she trying to find out? Like the big thing I want to know is, what does the Scarlet Witch mean in witch lore? Does that mean? I mean, this is still could be related to Mephisto, as we've talked before, because he's always red. He's always dressed in red.
Right.
He looks like the devil. Sometimes he has a weird monster face. Other time he just looks like a bargain basement version, like almost John Lovitz in the devil costume from Senate Live. But
maybe there's just certain color witch, like because she's clear. All of her stuff is blue. It seems like
or purplish
or purple or whatever. So maybe there's just like like Voltron or something. It's like there's the red, the green, the blue.
Witch.
Yeah, because the other witches were blue.
Yeah, they were all.
Witches were blue.
That whole group
was in a Green Lantern territory.
Oh, she was purple.
Whatever. Or the spec. So it could be like what's the name? Green Lantern. Not Green Lantern. The Lantern Corps.
Every color has its own witch, has its own representation. Yep. Like whatever the color means.
Is there any other?
I mean, you got like the Sorcerer Supreme. The Sorcerer Supreme has green.
Is that in Marvel?
That's Doctor Strange always doing. He's the Sorcerer Supreme, and is he always doing green stuff, or that was just with the Time Gem, right? I can't remember what colors he's got now. Maybe the Sorcerer Supreme is able to harness every color.
I think I've seen him do some. He's done yellow, right?
Yeah, it's usually yellow.
Yeah.
Is there any other like in Marvel world in the comics? Is there any other like witch? Like there's Scarlet? Is there like blue witch?
Oh, sure.
Or white witch or red witch? Not red.
I can recall off the top of my head.
Yellow.
You never know. There's 10.
There's all those characters. Andy, who was that character we used to do in HeroClix that would say probability control? She was a witch, right?
That was probably Scarlet Witch.
No, it was a blue.
You're talking about the White Queen, maybe?
It was like a little. It would look like an old lady. It was like a little tiny old lady.
Destiny is her whole thing.
There's a lot of witches,
and I think she's more of an X-Men related character, but she's like she's blind and but she's old and she can see everything and see all. That's probability control.
Okay, never mind. I thought she was like Blue Witch or something.
Or she's dressed in a blue thing with a gold mask that covered her eyes.
I don't know. She looked like Vision.
There's probably other. I mean, there are not any prominent witches. Joe, I know where Joe's brain is going. They're not going to go into a witch universe. Joe.
Yeah,
a lot of them have mutant backstories, though. Like there's magic.
Yeah, there's all sorts of mystical characters. There's tons of them. There's this
Satana Hellstrom.
Yeah, which they she had her own show technically that no one liked.
They're supposed to be rebooting that show.
Maybe.
You're thinking of Frasier.
That was a Hulu show.
Thinking of Frasier.
It was a Hulu show. Hellstrom.
Yeah, where does Frasier fit into this whole thing?
Yeah,
he does not.
Beast.
Did you guys see that?
Unless he's the new. He's the new Vision. He's the new Blue Vision.
Have you guys seen that meme on Facebook where it's like all the characters that were on Cheers that were also on Star Trek, saying that Cheers was just sort of an astral
holodeck simulation
of Star Wars, because Kirstie Alley was on there, and I guess Kelsey Grammer was on there, and
I didn't finish talking about the White Vision. The rogue agents came and dismantled Vision, and when he tried to be rebuilt, they like Hank Pym, I believe, tried to rebuild him as best he could, and but the whole thing with Vision was that like his brain waves were copied from Wonder Man, and this time Wonder Man didn't want to do it because he didn't do it voluntarily the first time that happened, so he felt like it was ripping part of his soul away or something like that. So they didn't really have like a human emotional component in the Vision's reconstruction. So he was all white. He was colorless. He didn't have emotions anymore.
Yeah.
He was still an Avenger, but he was sort of like almost like a blank slate. And so I think that's what's happening here is he's going to be complete, no personality, sentient weapon Vision.
Yep.
And my guess is by the end of the next episode, somehow Wanda's version of the Vision that can't leave the Hex and this version of the Vision that can will be merged, and that's how we get Vision back.
That's how we get the
full-fledged character. But I can't see that him just being, this just fits together perfectly. Everything's happy. I think there's going to be some hook that makes it weird.
Residuals.
Yeah. I definitely think he will be the bluish white Vision as a weapon at this point. Again, old dude is trash, so he's out for murder.
Is it?
Listen, he's been hell bent on getting to her this entire time, and getting the Vision body back. But remember, he was trying to shoot her down with the drone. Like he is not here for a peaceful anything, even with people telling him, I don't think she has violent intent. And we see here she doesn't. She was just grieving. And out of her grief poured out what constructed her world. Right. And so Monica's been saying that for a few episodes now, along with Wu and Kat, or Darcy. So at this point, I feel like he is just out for some blood. He's not listening to nobody. At the end of the episode, my son goes, white men.
He's right.
And I go, I know, right?
Yeah. And they had to make Vision into the whitest man possible.
Yeah.
Right.
So
he's like, white man. I was like, tell me about it.
Although he's sounds like he's got like a vengeance against superpowered people of all sorts.
Yes, he does.
That seems to be his thing, which is a common theme in Marvel human non-powered people.
Senator Trash.
But Wanda still needs she is still holding a shit ton of people hostage and forcing suppressing their personalities,
including Deborah Jo Rupp.
Yeah, of 70s
but
show
she
fame.
Didn't know. I will say again, we don't know. She also didn't realize until later that she was doing it.
Right.
I think it's true in the first few episodes. She just grieved so hard that when everything flipped, like we saw at the end, the way it just transformed, she just stepped into it and lived it.
Which is why,
because even if you go back to the first episode when they're asking her questions, she's like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes. She's it's even if it's subconscious or whatever, she's slowly starting to become aware of it. It's still a thing that's going to be held against her in perpetuity. I think you took an entire town captive.
Yeah.
Like she's already had her problems with, like in Civil War, she had the accident that killed the Wakandan ambassadors, so there's she has a Hydra history.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for her to be Super Avenger lady ever again. I think public opinion against her is going to be a big problem, and I think that's going to. That's her character going forward, dealing with all that.
Didn't she? Crap! I can't remember if this is true or not. Didn't she join the X-Men, or she fought the X-Men in the comics? After Avengers, didn't she do something with X-Men or fight the
Yeah, she's the one that the storyline that this is loosely based on in the comics was when she was broken, and she decided she was a mutant, and she felt like the mutants are causing too many problems. Like, she created this whole alternate world where mutants ruled everything, and things still kind of sucked. And so she just said, no more mutants, and just kind of all mutants stopped. No new mutants were made. And, like, she, like, took away not everybody's mutant powers because they still needed some X-Men comics to sell.
Yeah.
But most of them, like the Blob, his power is big fat guy.
Yeah.
And then, like, he lost his power, so he was just like this bag of loose skin. That, like, and it was just a disaster, and mutants everywhere hated her, and, like, she was like the queen of the mutant genocide, and she had to deal with that.
Okay.
And then eventually
like in later books, they talk about just how powerful she is. Like, they said that she's powerful enough that she could take on the Phoenix Force. Like, that's how powerful her chaos magic is. Like, it's one of those things. And I guess that's also because she's what they call like a Nexus being or whatever, because she can do so much. Like, even like what's going on with like her kids now and Vision. Like, a lot of things I've read is like something's going to happen. Like, the fact that her kids are being threatened and she's already lost her husband is like, it's going to kind of tie in, not necessarily tie into like the House of M kind of storyline, but like the multiverse is going to be created because, like, just like how when she went and she created this whole anomaly when she went to the house, the grounds where the house was going to be, like, her body will probably, I don't know necessarily explode, but kick out all of that energy again and then cause the timeline.
I think the multiverse already exists because of the Infinity Stones are gone. We had that whole explanation in Endgame that the Infinity Stones are the only thing that keep the timeline, or that little cable. And if one stone goes away, more timelines show up. And that's why they had to return them to the exact time that they took them.
What the hell's a Phoenix Force?
Thanos destroyed the Infinity Stones here. And so from this point forward,
questions you're not ready for.
Phoenix Force is X-Men.
Okay. All right, I'll get to that. And the multiverse.
Well, I mean, you saw the X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Right?
But I didn't have a Nerd School podcast at the time to tell me what I was watching.
Well, remember the one? Remember the one where Wolverine killed Jean Grey?
Yeah, kinda. Kinda.
Right, Andy. He's like,
she was the Phoenix then. I mean,
she's Phoenix.
Like the Dark
Phoenix Force. I know she's Phoenix, but what's Phoenix Force? Is that a team she forms?
No, the Phoenix Force is an alien entity of unimaginable power.
Oh, it's that thing that takes over Jean Grey? That's the Phoenix Force. Okay, I know what that is.
And then later on in the books,
look at you.
Cyclops ends up getting it.
Fuck Cyclops. That guy sucked. I like the other guys. Wait, hold on. I had a question.
Is it a WandaVision question?
Brain hurts. Yeah, it was a WandaVision. So is it weird at all that she's dating, like, she's in love with a machine? Like, does anybody at all, like, that's just a machine?
Wow. That's always...
We have a talking raccoon.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Yeah. Weird. Like, this isn't exactly reality.
But they never shied away from it being considered weird in the comics either. Because like, it was like a unique thing. It was... I remember there was kind of like a undercurrent of, Wanda's a little weird. Wanda's different. And, and we've seen her so far just trying to be normal. And her conception of normal is this sitcom reality. So...
Yeah.
Whatever Scarlet Witch magic comes up in her,
and then
so she's going to at least be wearing a little head thing because that's the silhouette.
Yeah. Do you guys have any guesses on like what we're going to see in this last finale episode? Like, is it going to be something that's going to carry over into, or maybe do you already know this? Like, do you already know the next movie that comes out? Like, is this going to? Oh, here's my questions. Is it going to carry over into Falcon Winter Soldier? And if not, what movie is it going to set up?
Wanda is known to be in Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, as directed by Sam Raimi, who directed the original Spider-Man films. So that's cool.
The original Spider-Man films that weren't in the MCU?
There are people
Tobey Maguire.
Okay.
There are people that think that Doctor Strange is going to show up
on the last episode. Okay.
Yeah. I would guess he's going to show up in like the post-credits bumper.
Oh, you are?
Good point, Andy. Good point.
That's
Are you predicting that, Artstar? Or are you just?
No, I'm not. I can neither confirm nor deny whether or not I'm predicting it.
Let me ask you,
because I know if I predict it and I'm wrong, someone on this podcast will give me hell.
Whoever would
I'm not saying any names. I'm not saying any names because I don't want to give them too much.
All this
power.
Multiverse talk.
She already has it.
Is again? I know you guys have already. Don't get mad. You've probably already told me this 100 times. The Spider-Man Into the Multiverse cartoon, is that part of the MCU?
Not as we know yet.
We don't know, but however, it could be.
But that's the concept of the multiverse. Is there's an infinite number of alternate dimensions where everything is slightly off or way off, like Spider-Man is the talking pig.
Yeah,
there's an infinite number of alternate realities, and there's like in the preview for Loki, we've seen like Owen Wilson is in it, and he works for whatever agency is trying to, I guess, maintain or manage the alternate realities or whatever they do.
Oh, really?
The Time Variance Authority. It's
Owen Wilson's going to be in the MCU,
and he seems like a bureaucrat of some sort, like an
that means Wedding Crashers is part of the MCU.
No, it's not. Let's not take your theory back.
What's that?
When's Vince Vaughn going to be?
Vince Vaughn will show up at. Now he's from Swingers, and
he's also Wedding Crashers.
Happy Hogan is in Swingers, so
that's true. 6 degrees separation.
Just to piss Tiffany off.
That's a no. We're gonna say no to that, Joe.
So there's infinite alternate realities that I think they're going to be dealt with in, we're going to really be introduced to it in Doctor Strange. Oh, there's a puppy.
Well, so supposedly Miles Morales might show up in
I heard that too.
Spider-Man 3.
Oh,
I heard that too.
And Miles Morales?
No Way Home.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
But then also
it's been rumored to deal a lot with the multiverse as well, which would include a Miles Morales from the Into the Spider-Verse cartoon.
Which one was Miles? Was that the kid?
Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield too.
Miles Morales was the kid?
That's the blackest.
That's the main thing was about
the main guy.
Gosh, I'm gonna have to watch that again. That was good. I've seen that twice, I think, and it was really good. I took my kids.
That was a good movie.
I thought it was just gonna be like a kids thing, like a kids version of Spider-Man.
No,
but it was good. But I didn't. Also, my mind was blown. Like I was like, "What is all this?" And I remember Andy. I was like, "Okay, what happened? What's this? And what's that? And what's this? And who's this?" But there wasn't anything in that's in the MCU. Now,
not necessarily yet. Okay. But like I said,
there you go.
If there is a multiverse,
asterisk yet because there are multiverses.
So if Miles Morales is in the next one. The next Spider-Man movie, then it's connected?
It might be a different version of Miles Morales.
Yeah.
That's, they might not do the actual Spider-Verse version.
Because then, it's one of those things like just how big and how Doctor Strange 2, just exactly how far they go in this and what they do. It's just like how when, what is it? The DC, how they did the whole thing where they included Batman 89 and all the different other Batman into once they combine their multiverse into one verse with the one reality, they pulled characters from other different shows based in DC into the main DC universe. So Marvel may end up doing.
They did that with what? Like what brought Kevin? They brought
the CW DC shows. Did a whole massive thing based on the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is DC Comics multiverse, where they sort of every sort of filmed version of DC Comics anywhere. They tried to do a little bit to touch on each one of those things, and included the 1989 Batman,
like that new DC show that was on different worlds and different. Realities, they combined them and they made one
on
world.
What show was this? It was on a CW show?
All of it was the CW, even when they had their own on a Disney universe. Like the show, like the Titans.
Teen Titans? Teen Titans Go?
Doom Patrol.
Right.
No, not
Paw
Teen Titans,
Patrol.
the
What?
regular Titans.
All right.
What are we talking about?
Doom Patrol.
The CW is a television network that also has a streaming app. They have several different shows based in the same DC universe. There's Arrow, which was based on Green Arrow. There's the
Black
Flash.
Lightning.
There's Black Lightning, which was technically not in the same universe.
It wasn't in the same universe.
There was Supergirl, which was also technically not in the same universe. There was Legends of Tomorrow, which is about time traveling people doing alternate reality stuff.
Pretty much like they're like the time variant authority.
Kind of like that.
They call them timekeepers.
And there's a Stargirl show that was also not in that universe. And then they did a big crossover episode with all of these shows.
Yeah.
That sort of combine them all into the same world.
How do I watch that?
Crossover.
And then
where can I watch that?
And it showed that they also had on like their DC streaming platform, like Doom Patrol and the Titans, which weren't involved in the CW shows. They, added them
as alternate realities.
So like
where can I watch this?
Probably the CW app. You can.
Well, if you got HBO Max,
you know it.
The Titans and Doom Patrol should be on HBO Max.
Now you're saying Titans. That's not the same as Teen Titans.
It's just they're not teen. I mean,
but it's the same characters.
But like Robin, Nightwing is an adult. Hawk and Dove are adults. Donna Troy is an adult, and then they have like Beast Boy.
Not the cartoon you're
Raven.
thinking of. You're thinking of Teen Titans Go,
yes,
which your kids probably watch.
Hey, don't hate on Teen Titans.
I love
Go.
that.
I'm not hating on it.
I love that TBJ is like my translator.
But I think Joe is thinking there and not the.
Yeah. She's my translator.
But that's also you have Teen Titans. And you have you watch Teen Titans.
My kids watch it a lot, so I'll watch it. It's funny. It's good.
They had this one episode of Teen Titans Go where they was like, remember that one time when we had a thing where we were actually serious? There's one character called Control Freak, where Control Freak is aware of the fourth wall and the different realities and the different universes. So he's like sitting there. He showed them a clip of themselves from Teen Titans, and they're like, "Whoa, we were so serious then." And it's like they even did a whole Thundercats thing where you have like the regular Thundercats, and they were like so excited. Teen Titans Go were excited about Thundercats coming out, but it ended up being like it was just Thundercats Go, and it's like it's basically the same premise as their show, but they were upset that Thundercats Go was funny, and it was like it's not the same Thundercats. Well, they actually went into the universe to fight the Thundercats Go because they wanted the Thundercats to be like the Thundercats of the 80s. Lion-O from the 80s even shows up in this episode. But it's like Teen Titans Go does like break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
They do show images of them from the Teen Titans cartoon show where they were, it was more like a more serious side of them. But it
is the show that you're talking about that shows all the worlds colliding. Is it as poorly written as the other CW shows? Like, is it?
Not all of the not all of their shows.
I think
are like
if
that.
you just
Arrow
remember that
good.
Marvel has a really good formula and everyone else does not yet, you'll lower your expectations a little bit. They're good for what they are. They're not. I mean, some of them are cheesy, but they are what they are.
There's a layer of cheese over all the Arrowverse stuff that,
But even and I made comments about how I think the CW's Flash is way better than the movie version of Flash. Like literally way better than the movie version of Flash.
But we've seen like the one the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League is the only time he's shown up, and it was like something about him. Like I don't know if it's his fault. I think it was just the mess behind the scenes. He might be able to do a good Flash, but like in that movie, it seemed like here's the movie going on. Let's bring the movie to a halt so the Flash can have an attempt at a joke. All right, are you done?
Right.
Let's start the movie again. I attribute that to poor writing or just whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so we've established Marvel's better, and back to Marvel and WandaVision. Is there anything else we got to say About episode 8 before jumping into 9 next time.
Well, we're still doing predictions, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Mm-hmm. I'm still thinking the Scarlet Witch has some connection to Mephisto, and that's why it's dangerous. Whether or not Agatha Harkness wants anything to do with Mephisto or does not, it remains to be seen. If she's trying to get the power, if she's trying to just figure out where the power comes from.
If Mephisto doesn't show up at all in this, are you going to be disappointed?
Not particularly. I don't have any super big investment in Mephisto. I just think he'd be the logical thing for it.
Especially since he's supposed to be the big bad in Doctor Strange. So.
Yeah, he could be too. So if Wanda's going into Doctor Strange, it makes sense to introduce Mephisto here.
Okay.
And I also think the two visions are going to merge and become a regular.
That's a good prediction. I think that's a good one.
With some kind of twist.
All right. What about Artstar and TBJ? You guys have any predictions?
I don't want to predict. I just want to be surprised. I feel like I don't want to see any lead up to this last episode. Art,
how about you? All. Do you have any predictions of what TBJ is going to predict? Because then you just say the opposite, just so you don't not right.
I think she's going to say that. Idris Elba is going to show up as Heimdall and take Wanda away.
Listen, if Idris Elba were to show up on WandaVision, I would swoon. But that is not my prediction.
Okay.
I don't have any major predictions. There will be a battle. Trash Dude will be revealed as Trash Dude. I refuse to say his name. Have we noticed that I have just done him?
Yeah, he didn't have
I've done our last administration. He is now and forever known as Trash Dude.
So you calling him Trash Dude, and I've always been a hater of Haywood. He's not my Voldemort. But what if it's one of those things where Marvel is throwing us another curveball? This is like a change up.
Nah,
like Haywood is not necessarily a trash dude. Mm-mm. It's just that we don't know what happened. They just been giving us bits and pieces of what happened during the blip. What if this is some sort of mandate that he has has to do, take out this thing no matter what, because
you wouldn't be building a new vision if you literally talked about dismantling a weapon because it was so dangerous. Mm-hmm. And what did you go do? Rebuild said weapon. So number one, don't nobody trust your lying ass. Number two, you just keep lying.
Most of the people like in Iron Man, what did the army do? What did the army want? They wanted Tony Stark's suit for themselves. Vision.
Which is not good that way either. Shoot. That's not a good thing.
It's one of those things where it's I totally I already said how I felt like this version of Sword seemed too mercenary for me. So I somewhat agree with you, but then on the same token, I'm like, these guys they're coming off like the army. So for them, this is war. So he's not he could be a bad guy, or he could just be that general who really loves his job. He really loves.
He could really love his job,
to protect the people from
has been lying.
Powered individuals.
He has been lying. He lied to Monica. He lied to Wu. He kicked the 3 people out who could call him on his BS. He put them out. Mm-hmm. If honestly, his intentions aren't good. You doctored the whole video. Your intentions, even if it's militaristic, is not okay. So my one prediction is Trash Dude will be revealed.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. But
devil's advocate.
All his friend loving war.
The devil's advocate. War. That's what I'm going to say. Who's the Prince of Lies? Mephisto. He's the devil. If we're the devil's advocate, I wouldn't put it past Mephisto having something to do with Trash Dude. Manipulating Trash Dude to be not the guy that
earlier, spoilers, not spoilers, but earlier reviewers have sitting there saying how Haywood
trash
could possibly be something to do with Ultron or
that's another thing
like Mephisto.
Yeah, if White Vision does not have the Mind Stone stuff in it, he could be the blank slate of whatever Ultron is. It could be a way to bring Ultron back. I doubt that, but
we'll see.
That's a way back.
I mean, first of all, Artstar, I did not interrupt your predictions for next week. I just want to point that out, that when Joe asked me my predictions, all you've done is argue with my predictions. I just want to point it out. Everyone got to predict without interruption. Everyone got to predict without interruption.
So are you saying I purposely didn't say anything because I wanted to wait for your prediction?
I just think you are not, you're a hater. One, we've established this. But two, I just want to point out that my prediction keeps getting interrupted.
I feel like you're at this point, at this juncture right now on this podcast. I mean, matter of fact, from day one, you have been trying to establish me as a villain.
Not necessarily a villain. You are a hater, and the facts are facts. The facts stand. Like, you can't combat that, Artstar. You've got some hateration in this dancery, okay? It is in you.
I feel like we convince him. I think we pull him back from the edge. Like, he came in like, I hate this movie, and then the more we talk about it, the more it kind of...
he needs us. That's what he needs, Andy.
That's right.
He would be all out here killing his people if it wasn't for us.
We're teaching Joe about the just general nerd knowledge, and we're teaching Art how to love again.
We're bringing him back from the dark side, episode by episode.
I can't help it if I'm a Sith Lord.
See, and that is
things, then
there lies our problem.
You have to deal with.
Let me fit my last part of my prediction. Is I agree with Andy. I think the two visions will meld into something. I don't think it's going to be the loving vision that we have, but I do think it's going to meld into something. And I think there will be a chance for Monica to shine in this final episode.
And what might be interesting is if Monica somehow actually turns Hayward into a literal trash dude. Like, somehow combines him with garbage to become a sentient pile of trash.
Literal trash.
I think there actually is a comic book character who is just a pile of trash. I think they called him Heap, but he's not Marvel. He's
Heap.
Like Image Comics or something.
Either way, those are my predictions. Trash dude will be revealed for his trashery.
That's a good one.
The visions will melt. I agree with Andy on that. And I think this is Monica's chance to truly shine in who she is and stand out in this episode. I don't know who the big bad is. So I'm gonna hold
that's what I was going to ask you. Is that a common slang term people say in comic book land, is the big bad? Like, everybody knows what the big bad means.
I think that started with Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something. Like, they'd always say, who's the big bad of the season, or somewhere. I mean, because
I inferred what you meant, but you guys have been throwing that around like it's just something you guys say to each other.
Yeah, every show's
the
got
ultimate
its big bad
person,
every
the
adventure show
bad character.
Yeah.
Who's the main villain? Is that
okay?
But that's life, like, right? Big Pharma.
Can I make a prediction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
go for it.
I predict Tony Stark will be in this last episode.
Really?
What's the guy? John Leguizamo plays Tony Stark. No,
John Leguizamo's Tony Stark could be in this because Agnes could create.
No,
what's
his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. Michael.
It's about the same number of syllables.
Michael Allen Greer. No.
No.
David Allen Greer. No, what's his name?
Nobody tell him.
Yep, David
Nobody
Allen
tell
Greer.
him. Just let him keep guessing.
Keanu Reeves. No, Kiefer Sutherland. It's in that same vein. He was in the 80s stuff. I can picture him.
Forget this.
I can't think of his name. Like, it's three names, right? Like Michael Allen Greer.
Sort of, yeah. It's two names and a suffix.
Kinda. Oh, Junior. Lou Gossett Jr.
You gave him a clue.
No.
Yes, Louis Gossett Jr.
Yep.
No, it's,
you're right.
His name is on the
This is like question number 1 on the exam.
I know. I'm just trying to blank on the actor's name. I know.
You can't even write. You failed your own name writing. This is how bad this is right now.
What is this fucking?
Like we've only covered.
This is senility. This has nothing to do with not knowing comics. This is like
can't even remember
senility.
One guy's name.
This is senility. He's in all those movies, like in the 80s when Weird Science is.
There are people listening right now screaming.
I know they are.
They are literally screaming.
Shoot, Anthony Michael Hall and.
I think you had it right with Lou Gossett Jr.
Lou Gossett Jr. Wouldn't that be great? Now, what is his? I can't remember his name.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
I forgot about his turn at Iron Man.
Yeah.
I'm picturing him. I know what he looks like.
Yeah, he looks like Tony Stark.
He had an alcohol problem in the 80s.
Yeah.
Rob Lowe.
Same vein.
Lou Diamond Phillips, Kiefer Sutherland, and what's his?
Is it you talking yourself in the try to?
Wait, Joe,
we're gonna stick here.
Mark.
I was gonna say
Mark Allen.
He shares a name with one of my children. Do you know my kid's name?
I don't think I know your kids' names.
Oh, how are we?
I've met one of your kids. I think.
One of them shares the.
Tell me the first letter of his first name, and then I'll get it.
Remember the guy you just mentioned a minute ago? He has the same first name.
David Allen Greer?
No.
Oh, Lou Diamond Phillips?
No.
Right
before he said Lou Diamond Phillips.
Mark Lynn Baker?
No.
Mark Lynn Baker.
Yes, Mark Lynn Baker of Perfect Strangers.
Why can't I think of his name? Okay, I just gotta think. I know the guy's name. Oh, Edward?
No.
I can't even.
You're thinking of Hulk. That ain't it.
We're gonna stay here until.
I know. I want to remember. I don't want to look it up because I know the guy's name.
Well, we don't want to fail you, but Joe, you're failing.
I can't remember. It's like I can't remember. Like, but now it's becoming more of a block. Name? It's like a block.
Is that your dad's
It's like a
name?
memory block. Oh, Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Jeez.
Now that took you 10 minutes.
How did I forget
and
Robert
I had
Downey?
To give you hints.
Okay, I was thinking of Morton Downey Jr.
We spent a lot of time talking about him as a choice. As
you
an
say
actor
Morton Downey Jr.?
Morton Downey Jr. was what he was. A lot of people don't know that was the original choice to play him was Morton Downey Jr. And then when he died, they had to go a different direction.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people don't know they're brothers.
A lot of people don't know who Morton Downey Jr. is.
Did Don Cheadle give you this first-hand information?
Don Cheadle told me at that. So, remember, that's it. I couldn't remember Don Cheadle's name when I saw him. And I knew who he was.
Close personal friend.
He's my good friend. We're best friends. He just doesn't remember me.
And you couldn't even remember who he was.
Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. Why did I forget his name?
We spent so much time talking about him as a choice and what a bet they were taking on him.
Morton Downey Jr. Remember him and Roddy Piper and the cigarette thing? Okay. We've taken enough time on Nerd School. This is a long episode. I'll have to cut some of that time down, and I might just put in, it took me forever to remember. But thank you guys for listening, everybody.
You need to keep every second of you agonizing over it. You need to keep all of this.
This is an embarrassing moment.
This is
a whole bonus episode. Joe tries to remember Robert Downey Jr.
Well, I can tell you, my other prediction is this won't be the first time I forget Robert Downey Jr.'s name.
It's already
might be accurate.
This is at least like the 5th time you've forgotten his name.
Yeah, already. It probably is. Yeah, right.
But this is the only time we've let you dangle this long.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. And next episode will be Artstar, the special Artstar episode where he just talks himself about his feelings, and then we listen.
He has no feelings. He has no feelings.
I have plenty of feelings. I feel.
Anyway, that'll be next episode. It'll be a special introspection Artstar episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. Rate, review, subscribe, Excelsior.
Like our IG.
Yeah, like the IG, T to the B to the J. Buy our T-shirts.
Merch coming soon.
Yeah, 1-900 Artstar. With an extra
Merch-a-lot. I was going to say 1-900 Merch-a-lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get the 1-900 numbers going again.
Yeah, 1-900 mix. Yeah, that's what we do. We'll have a 900 number where Art talks about his feelings, and then people just listen to him.
1-900 Nerd School.
He needs to vent.
How you feeling, Art?
Done.
Nerdsk. Oh, no. Nerds.
You know what? We could have spelled it SKUL. And then,
dang it.
I'll put 2 dots over top of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, little umlauts.
The umlaut. Anyway, that's
we might
good.
have to completely change all of our merchandising so we can make it Skool.
Nerds roll.
Excelsior. Oh, my glasses are broken. My pocket is protected.
Okay.
About the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end in racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Now offering video visits, so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. Ortho Carolina, you improved.